Hi, I am Jamie Miller, the Director of Education for Quilts Incorporated, and today we are here with one of our amazing International Quilt Festival teachers for 2026, Dana Jones. How are you today?
I'm good, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you, and Festival is so blessed to have you as a teacher this year, and I just can't wait. We're keeping you busy. We have two classes and a lecture. We have your two classes are Warp Speed and Designing for FPP, and then you're giving us a lecture on So You Want to Write a Book. I
That's
would,
correct.
what can they expect from your class?
Sure. So Warp Speed is a class that came about because I love traditional quilts, but I'm not a traditional quilter, not at all. I'm probably more in the modern mode if you had to put a category,
Hmm.
but I kind of defy categories. But I fell in love with quilting because I love traditional blocks. I love the geometry of them. And so I took several classes that kind of prompted me to think about what would happen if you took a specific block and started to warp it to, really learn the block, learn the
Hmm.
components, and then start messing with it,
Oh, I
basically.
love it.
You
I
know,
love
like,
it.
exploding it,
Hmm.
removing some parts, inverting it, nesting it. I love the concept of nesting, how something fits inside of something. If you kind of think like the Russian dolls, as a child, even I
Oh,
love that.
yeah. Hmm.
So I discovered I made an Ohio Star quilt that I warped the grid instead of an even nine patch, an irregular nine patch, which makes long, super long star points and things.
Hmm.
And then I discovered I could put another Ohio Star in that and another one in that and another and just keep nesting them in. So in the class, each person will select a quilt block, a traditional block that
Hmm.
appeals to them, and then they will work through all these different ways to manipulate the block, and
Oh,
they
how
will
cool.
create a quilt then using
Oh, I
their
love it.
one or more of the blocks that they design.
Oh, I love it. And I love the mix of traditional and modern. I don't really like categories. I'm just a quilter. I like it all, unfortunately, for my bank account. But I love it all and I really like mixing, there's so many amazing traditional quilt blocks, but then there's so many cool things that you can do with them. And this sounds awesome. This is right up my alley.
Well, I kind of have an idea of quilting, an image of quilting as a stream. And
Hmm.
so, and this is a stream that's been flowing a really long time. So my grandmother got in the stream at one point and created what she created in the era in which she lived.
Hmm.
And then the stream kept flowing, and we're the inheritors of an incredible legacy. And this class honors that legacy, but takes the stream to new places. And that's
Love
what
it.
what
Oh,
I
I
really like
love it.
about
That is
warp
that
speed.
is a great analogy. I love that. And it's so true.
So
I love
now the second class I'm doing is called Designing for Foundation Paper Piecing, or Designing for FPP. This class is probably the one closest to my heart. I began quilting more than 20 years ago now.
amazing.
And very soon after I started, I took a class in just how to foundation paper piece.
Mhm.
I never finished that project because there's about five mistakes that every new foundation paper piecer makes, and I made all of them in that quilt. And
A
didn't want
true
to go back,
quilter. A true quilter.
didn't want to go back and start over.
Yep.
So, but fell in love with the process, and my brain loves things that some people don't. The mirror image, the
Mhm.
precision of the quilts. I love all of that. It really appeals to me. And so I decided I would design a quilt. And so I've had one class and I designed a quilt. I still teach that quilt I designed then.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and and in that process, I learned a lot of things about foundation paper piecing because I started out basically knowing you have to do straight lines. Well,
Right.
there are other things you also must do. For example, those lines can't turn a corner because you can't fold the paper back.
Right.
So, what I have done over the years is develop this class that I call the rules that you need to follow, the paper police rules. So in the class, we'll
Cool.
learn and practice the paper police rules. In the first half of the class, we'll do that by designing a block. So everyone in the
Ooh.
class will design a block.
Mhm.
And then in the second half of the class, we work from a photograph.
Oh, how
And
fun.
and then we design a pattern from the photograph. We learn a few more paper police rules and we learn some of them in a little more detail.
Hmm.
And then they begin to design from a photograph.
Oh, I
And
love it. And it's a photograph that they bring
it can
or
be.
hmm.
It can be. So I make available, they can send me images in advance of class
Oh, great.
if
Okay.
I know who they are.
Yeah,
They,
sure.
I can let them know and they can do that. I also always have a selection of photographs printed out because they need to work from a print.
Sure. Hmm.
I have them printed out, um, and they can pick from those. If they bring one that we look at it, I say, that's too complicated for your first quilt.
Right. Hmm.
Save that till later. Like I say, don't bring a picture of your favorite dog or your grandchild because you're going to be too particular about how the product looks.
Yeah.
Bring something you're not so
Do a
attached to.
landscape picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so uh, I do have photographs, and I'd say at a show like International Quilt Festival,
Hmm.
probably two-thirds of the class will have photographs that they bring and want, and other folks will select from the ones that I bring.
Awesome.
And and so it's really, I think, a, a process that opens people's eyes. I've had students come and say, I've been trying to design on electric quilt on EQ8, and it erases my lines and I don't know why. Well, after this class, they'll know why it erases the lines, and then they can go back and they can design in computer. We don't use computers in the classroom. Practically, that would be difficult because different people would work in different programs.
Sure.
I can't help them with all those tech issues in
Sure.
different
You're
programs.
not proficient in every program. How dare you?
Right, exactly. I also believe, and the research supports this, that when you draw with pencil on paper, more parts of your brain connect. So the
Mhm.
beginning of learning this process works well on paper. And then those who love computer design, they're going to go to the program they know, and this will be totally adapt to that format.
Oh,
So
I love it.
I get that question a lot. What program are we going to work in? We're going to work with paper and pencil,
I love
quote,
it.
quote, old style, but for a very specific reason, because I
Sure.
think they'll learn the process,
Hmm.
better if we do that. So,
Absolutely.
and this class is a class that I now have published a book. It comes out in August 28th.
Oh, yay.
It's from Schiffer Publishing, so I will have the books at Quilt Festival.
Awesome.
They'll be
And
out
shameless
by
plug,
then.
what is the name of the book? What's the
The book
title?
is called, same as the title of the class, Designing for Foundation Paper Piecing. And
Awesome.
that's the title. And as I said, it's on pre-order now, and then
Awesome.
it'll be out the end of August.
And
And the
can
book goes,
whoever's watching here, can they find it on your website, Amazon? Where can we
they
pre-order the book?
The book is not available. I don't have it for pre-order on my
Okay,
website. Any bookseller. You can go
perfect.
straight to Schiffer Publisher, who published it, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, bookshop.org, you name it, it's on all of those.
Perfect.
And then the lecture that I'm going to give, I'll be giving for the first time. And
Ooh,
it's
exclusive.
called So You Want to Write a Book.
Mhm.
And I am, by profession, I was a photojournalist. I was a magazine editor,
Mhm.
and my most recent magazine editing was with Quilter's Newsletter. And then I was also for several years the editor of the SAQA Studio Art Quilt Associates
Uh-huh.
Journal.
Oh, love it.
And so I know how to write for that
Yeah,
format.
yeah.
And I also at Quilter's Newsletter learned how to write patterns and do the how-tos of quilting.
Oh, which is such a different way of writing.
It's a totally different way of writing. And I so often have friends who are quilters and do something really special, and they say, I really want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. So the lecture is going to be based on my experience and experience of some others
Oh,
in
wonderful.
terms of how do you get started? How do the importance of a table of contents? That's your outline for the book. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't realize that. I think they write the book and then they write the table of contents at the end. And
Oh,
it's just the opposite of that.
sure.
And I'll be talking about both self-publishing. I've done two books. Before this book, I did a book called Pegtina Bangai, The
Hmm.
Quilts and Quilt Makers of Cowahagan Island, which was pretty much a storybook about a community of quilters on a very tiny island in the central Philippines.
Oh.
I self-published that book. I had a publisher, but the quilts were going to be exhibited at the National Quilt Museum, and we needed the
Oh.
book out sooner than they could do it. I
Hmm.
self-published. I know the joys and the pitfalls of self-publishing
Sure.
way, way too well. And I have
Sure.
some, I have several other friends who do it better than I did it. So we can talk, I can talk about self-publishing, which is a route that's good for some folks.
Sure.
And then can talk about what it's like to actually work with a publisher, what it means to do something like, through Amazon, well, they'll
Hmm.
carry your book with print on demand. But I'm gonna be looking at just how do you organize a book? How do you write a proposal if you want to go to a publisher?
Hmm.
How do you write the proposal? What kinds of things are they looking for? Because I think a lot of it is people organizing their thoughts, and they
Sure.
just don't know where to start because, unlike me, they don't come out of the publishing industry. It's not a lecture I see that I would ever give. I do a lot of teaching and speaking for guilds.
Hmm.
It's not a guild lecture.
Right.
Houston is uniquely a place where the people who really want to maybe move from I do this as a hobby, they
Hmm.
want to move into some level of professionalism with it. And
Sure.
a book isn't going to make you rich, but a book can open a lot of doors
It gets
for
your
you.
name out there.
It gives you credibility as someone who
Hmm.
knows what you're doing,
Hmm.
and it guilds see it and they want you to come and work with them. And
Yep.
so, I mean, also talking about why do you want to write a book? I mean, just because you want to put your name on a book, it's too much work for that.
Right.
But you need to have a marketing plan. You need to have a business plan for
Hmm.
how and where does this book fit into your business plan?
Oh,
I,
that's
I,
wonderful.
I remember talking to someone who'd been very successful in the quilt world, and I asked her, she was doing books, she was teaching, and her quilts were so amazing that she was selling her quilts for significant money.
Oh.
And I said, how did you decide on that mix of what you would do? Because in the quilt world, you can go a lot of directions. You can have a
Hmm.
shop online, brick and mortar. You can you can design patterns. There's many things you
Hmm.
can do. And so how did she design on teaching books and selling her quilts? Well, selling her quilts is because she was so amazing.
Yeah,
I- I'm,
sure.
talk- I'm talking about
It's
Ruth
artwork.
McDowell. I'm talking about Ruth
Oh,
McDowell for anybody who wants to
yes.
understand this. But it gave me a guideline that said, okay, I can't cover the waterfront. What do I do best? What do I enjoy doing? And what do I need to do more of what I enjoy and less of what I'm not as good at or don't enjoy? And
Hmm.
so that'll be part of the lecture also is I'm working on developing several forms that people can use around their table of contents, around a business plan and how this fits and that type of thing.
Lecture will be so helpful for people getting started, or even if they've already tried writing a book before. I just this will be wonderful, and I'm so glad you're offering it.
I was so glad you accepted it as one of the lectures because when I did it, I thought this isn't everybody that's going to come to festival, but
Right.
I think there's enough people at festival that will be interested in this to make it
Mhm.
valuable for me to do it and for you all to offer it. So I'm glad you agreed with me on that point.
Yes, thank you for offering it. I think, we're kind of calling we're grouping this with a few other lectures and classes that like professional development. So kind of the things that, on a much smaller scale of kind of what we were offering during market when we had international market the week before festival. And that was more industry led, more business oriented. But there's so many of us that come to festival, which is the retail show, that are in the industry, wanting to break into the industry, just being around quilts. And I think it's so important to offer these developmental things professionally because, yeah, I can make a beautiful quilt. I don't know how to write that down as a pattern. I don't know how to monetarily do this to support my lifestyle and my addiction of buying more fabric. Because let's be honest,
Oh,
that's
that
where all our money
addiction.
goes.
Yeah. You're not seeing my fabric stash, but if that's your fabric stash behind you, I've got you beat.
No, no, this is just long arm storage. Like I've
Oh,
got
okay.
thread and projects. My fabric's over here. I think I could sew something with it every day for the rest of my life, and I still would have more fabric than I know what to do with. So,
Well, and I think a lot of us, we start out when we start out quilting,
mhm.
we have certain fabric needs, and then those
Yeah,
of us who've been quilting any period of time, our fabric likes change. And
yes.
so, I right now I tend to sew like the quilt you see behind me. I sew a
Mhm.
lot in solids, which
Mhm.
when I for a long time I just almost never did.
What is your one tool or notion that you just could not live without?
It would be a this sounds crazy, but it would be a seam ripper combination stiletto that was specifically made for me by the husband of the woman who owns the quilt shop in Pueblo, Colorado. I have
Oh,
I have pretty small hands,
hmm.
and they make a lot of the seam rippers and stilettos like big fat handles, and that's
Hmm.
good, really good for people with arthritis, I'm told.
Sure. Hmm.
So far, I don't have that. I'm sure I will at some point, but I like a really thin one. And so her husband did the dowel on it and shaped it to my hand.
Oh,
And
how wonderful.
I've replaced the seam ripper, the little metal part, multiple times now.
Yeah.
But
Why?
and my dog chewed it. So I bought several others I thought would be the same. They're not. So I used the dog chewed one with, new parts as needed.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, this is great. Where can we find you online? Where are you active the most on social media? And tell us your website.
So my website is danajonesquilts.com.
Okay.
And that's the best place to get an overview of what I teach, to see some of my quilts, to learn
Sure.
a little bit more about who I am, my background, and that type of thing. I am active on Facebook,
Okay.
and actually later today, I'm going to be talking with the marketing person from my publisher about how I'm really going to get my Instagram count going. I
Oh,
I
awesome.
haven't used it a lot, but Instagram is definitely going to be something I'm going to be investing time in going forward. So probably pretty much Instagram, Facebook, and then my website. I include all my contact information right on the homepage. My
Perfect.
phone number, my mailing address, my email address, all of that is there. And on my homepage is a spot to sign up for my newsletter, which I'm a little more active with it right
Mhm.
now. I don't inundate people. I probably should send a little more than I do actually, but my newsletter is a mix of lots of quilt stuff, lots of quilt news, new quilts, images of stuff some of my students do. I love sharing what they create.
Oh, that's
Um,
my favorite
and
part.
and kind of travelogue because
Mhm.
when I do a lot of teaching and speaking for guilds all over the country, and
Wonderful.
usually I drive and I have an 18-foot R-Pod little tiny camper. I
Oh,
take
amazing.
her name's Emma. The tow
Cute.
truck the tow truck is Tori Hansen, named for the first woman Blue Power Ranger because it's a Ford
Oh, I love
Ranger.
that. Oh, I
The
love
Ford
it.
Ranger. And so anybody who reads my newsletter will get to know Emma and Tori Hansen and will know about our travels, as well as quilting. But those almost always wrap back around something about quilting. So
Love it.
that's a good place to keep up with what I'm doing is by subscribing to my newsletter.
Awesome. Oh, well, this is great. And you're probably going to get a whole bunch of new subscribers. And everyone go following her on Instagram and encourage her to post all the time because everyone needs to see your amazing work. I want to, okay, that quote behind you needs to be on Instagram if it's not already.
It isn't yet, but it's one that will be. It's one I did for the book, so it
Oh,
definitely
we're going to see it a
will be
lot
getting
then.
out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be getting
Oh,
out there.
awesome. Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you today. We are so blessed to have you as one of our faculty members this fall and go sign up for all of her classes and come see her at her lecture.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yes, great talking to you.